So let's start at the core of the conversation, which is what the hell is social money?
Yeah. Um, Take you back again here. So the concept of social currency, let's say, is around 120 years old, right? Or social capital. This idea that every kind of individual has this network around them, and that network has this sort of almost intangible value. We sort of carry this in like a philosophical sense. So what Ethereum uniquely allows you to do is turn this cultural primitive now into a digital and financial primitive. So the network value that, let's say, you have starting a podcast and sort of, a Substack and having this presence, the idea is you could effectively make that fungible and tradable and sendable through Ethereum. And then for us, we see this really as a mass adoption primitive. In the future, we see many people having their own currencies. So we wanted to create a term that was super friendly, almost as friendly as ice cream, two words that people just like next to each other. And this effectively became social money. So social money are branded Ethereum tokens named after individuals and communities. And yeah.
And so would it be fair to say that this is analogous to like Amazon gift cards, right? Where it's a branded currency that can be used within that network? Or is that something that would be a little bit inaccurate?
Yeah, so we adopt a lot of language on roll. So if you go to roll right now, social money can be earned, it can be redeemed, but Ethereum adds these amazing benefits. I mean, first of all, social money now becomes interoperable across systems, right? And yeah, so there's social money on blockchain platforms like Uniswap. So social money is traded every day. People exchange it for different NFTs or collectibles. So it's sent all the time on OpenSea. There's folks that use it on Patreon and Twitch and Instagram and Twitter. So the idea of creating this interoperable, auditable system where the value could be integrated into different platforms is really special, because all of a sudden you're not just on the network, you become the network. And philosophically, that's why people, we think, are coming to roll. They never really had their own money. And that's just the lead in. But philosophically, the sell is once you have your own money, you can create your own rules and become the network. And that's a very new value prop that we think is unique for this decade.
So help me understand, like, why do let's say if I'm X person running a community, right? Let's just say it's, I don't know, whatever community. Why do I need my own currency versus just use whether it's fiat currency or one of the existing cryptocurrencies?
Yeah, so fiat currency is great. For social money, we really see this as complementary. So a lot of people that have an online community, effectively, a lot of them really have their own culture with fan behavior. They may even have their own language with GIFs and memes. What social money literally does is bring economics to that digital community or nation. The community now has its own money and its own sense of belonging. And what happens here is social money really opens up new feature sets, right? The community itself can be traded. It could exist on many platforms while being sort of independent of all platforms as well. And it's an amazing tool to really start incentivizing your community, right? So if there's something you want to do, whether it's sort of more subscriptions on YouTube or more comments on Substack, you can literally, like a new web superpower, generate that type of activity directly towards those actions with your social money.
Got it. And so I guess part of this is it's less about the money and it's more about the social component, the branding, et cetera. Like the monetary policy, if you will, is not the focus. It's much more around how do you use this new exchange of value in a community to get people to kind of stay locked in, be much more engaged, to participate, earn things, all of that type of stuff. Is that fair?
Yeah. So we're onboarding entirely new communities in this sort of completely new way. And, we've made the economics as simple as, Twitter has made, character counts, right? So Twitter has a 280 character max. Roll has a 10 million unit of social money maximum supply. And so every person that comes on Roll doesn't need to do any mental math or anything like this. They'll come on and know that they have a 10 million supply. they'll get 2 million on day one, and sort of the rest will be released over time. But yeah, absolutely, you're able to now sort of send your social money across platforms, have it be spent on different products, and create different ways for it to be earned.
So if I wanted to create, let's say, a Pomp coin, right? And there's 10 million Pomp coins that exist in the world. Do they all hold whatever value I ascribe to them? Is there an open market that determines that value? Do kind of the users in my community or network ascribe that value? How does that work?
Yeah, so first, if you created Pomp, I think everyone would freak out in a really good way. You wouldn't be alone. There's a lot of people with massive communities that have just joined Roll. Fred Wilson's testing it out with ABC. We just talked to Ja Rule. We'll sort of be doing something with him later on. And folks like Cami Russo and sort of others that have built sizable communities are on Roll as well. What's very interesting is we basically cloned the Uniswap protocol. So we have our own Uniswap front end, which allows any sort of social money to be traded easily. And what we would do effectively, if you wanted to, is start market making Pomp, right? So we've done this enough that we could ascertain the value of any social money in the ballpark of, an order of magnitude. So there's social money now that's worth $500,000 as market cap. There's some that's worth a few $100,000. So once we sort of do that, the market is really going to tell us the value of Pomp at that point, and it sort of stays there. And what we've seen is, as more utility is driven towards social money, the demand for the network goes up, and that sort of increases the value of social money. So it's this idea of sort of the community is almost a form of cash flow. And if there's more demand for the community, there's more demand for your social money.
What's like the best way you've seen it used within a community? Any examples that you can talk about in terms of just, obviously when people hear money, they think, okay, you're paying for something or you're receiving value for something, but how have you seen this specifically used in communities you think is pretty cool?
Yeah, so there's several examples. So I think one of the most popular ones that Barstool Sports wrote about this, a few others. So there's someone on Roll who's a young entrepreneur and sort of a community manager named Alex Masmej, and sort of Alex raised $20,000 with his social money named Alex. So he effectively built all of his rewards on Roll, built a network, and did a formal Kickstarter style crowdfund, and used Alex as a crowdfunding mechanism. Another engineer named Kerman did this as well. So Kerman raised around $25,000. That's an extremely interesting use case, just kind of building your own network and monetizing in this new way. Aside from
the people who bought the Alex token or the other one, what did they get in return? Like why would they buy Alex, for example?
Yeah, so buying Alex or Kerman effectively gives you a stake in that person's network. And so what that means is you now own basically a percentage of this community. And if you believe in sort of the success of this community over time, what that could effectively lead to is sort of an overwhelming growth of what the community means. And the interesting thing is, this isn't just tied to Alex or Kerman, it's tied to the currency. And what we've seen over time is the most successful social money, its utility actually becomes democratized. So the biggest users of Alex and Kerman aren't exactly those individuals. They're people in the community using it in a peer-to-peer way, which is sort of fascinating. So you own a piece of this community that can exist over time and effectively increase as the demand for the network increases.